Geometry, we are doing more review of algebra. So exciting. I see here a line and it's telling me I need to remember slope. So here we see that the slope of the line in the image is 8 over 15. Explain how you know this is true. Well, if you were in class, you'd be talking together, but slope is rise over run. Rise over run, right? And we can say the rise is the y distance. And the run is the x distance. So here I have rise, which is the y distance. I'm going to say 2 minus a negative 6. Because I'm just grabbing these values, 2 and negative 6. So that is going to be 8. That's our rise. And our run is the x distance. I'm going to say that is 5 minus a negative 10, which is 15. So rise over run is 8 over 15. Cool? Okay, building an equation for a line. I'm going to move this over, have some space to write. So the image shows a line. A, write an equation that says the slope between points 1, 3, and xy is 2. So slope, which m is the variable we always use for slope, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. It doesn't matter which one's the second or the first. We just need to stay in order. So that is going to be, let's just do y minus 3 over x minus 1. That is slope. Y minus 3 over x minus 1. And we said that is equal to 2 in this case because they told us. Okay, now look at that's part A. Part B says, look at this equation, y minus 3 equals 2 times x minus 1. How does it relate to the equation you just wrote? Well, cool enough, it looks like this is out there. Like if I multiply both sides by x minus 1 in parentheses, that one is canceled, and I'm left with y minus 3 equals 2 times x minus 1. So it really just is the slope those are equal, which is very cool and very useful. Like, all kidding aside, very useful. So what we just did was y2 minus y1, which is the equation for slope, over x2 minus x1 equals m, can give us the equation. And this actually has a form name called point slope form. So if you ever hear that, you've learned it. Because I'm using a point, just one point, and a slope, and I'm coming up with an equation, right? All right, I need to start over with a new slide. I've used up too much space. So we've already done that first question, and A and B, so let's look at 2. Here's an equation for another line. Here's an equation for another line, y minus 7 equals 1/2 x minus 5. Goodness, too many buttons. All right, let's do this. What point do you know this line passes through? Well, from example A and B, we learned that, like this one right here, that passes through points 1, 3, found right from that equation. So this one is going to pass through points 2A. Is going to pass through point, the x value is 5 and the y value is 7. And then what's the slope of that line? We know this slope was 2 because it was given to us in the problem. This slope is 1/2. That's not a mistake. M equals 1/2. Cool. That's pretty simple, right? Just picking apart the equation. Next, let's write a general equation we can use for any line. Suppose we know a line passes through a particular point h comma k. Write an equation that says the slope between points x, y, and hk is m. Well, we can say m equals y minus k over x minus h, because we're going through h comma k. That's my x1 and that's my y. So if I stretch this out a little bit, I get y minus k equals m times x minus h if I'm going through a point. My point being h comma k. So that right there is what I'm looking at. Y minus k equals m times h minus k. Okay, it relates because this is the point I'm traveling through, and this is the slope of the line. So using a point slope form, write an equation that describes each line, with the line passing through point given slope. So 1a, gosh, you guys could do this on your own. I know that it's going to be y minus 8 equals 4/5 x minus a negative 2. Simplify that, because minus a negative, you guys are too mature for that now, x plus 2. I have y minus 7, because that's the y value. Slope is negative 7/3, x minus 0. But again, you guys are too mature for that. So let's simplify it like that. And then c, the line passing through point with slope. Y minus 0 equals slope x minus 1/2. And again, too mature, let's simplify it. And you actually don't need that negative there, right? And then the last one, the line in the image. So the slope of this line looks to be a rise of 1 and a run of 2. So slope is 1/2, and it can go through any of those points. I can use any of them. Okay, let's go ahead and use this one because I like positive. So that point is 2, 3. So I can use y minus 3 equals 1/2 x minus 2. Or equivalent, I can use any one of those, okay? Any one of those points at all, and I would get the right answer. The second part says, using the structure of the equation, what point do you know each line passes through? What's the line slope? So I'm just taking this and I'm taking it apart. I have slope. You can pull that right out of the equation. And the point is a positive 5 and a negative 4. For the x is the x is negative 4. The y is positive 5, because I'm using that form. Okay. Here, my slope is 5. My x value is not there, so it's a 0, and my y value is a negative 2. Okay, my slope is negative 2. My y value is missing. My x value is there, so I've got a positive 5/8 and a 0. Easy peasy, right? That was a little bit better than the last lesson, but still really important information. As you can tell, we're building to like something that's super duper important with the last 2 lessons that all comes together, okay?